Sarah Chen stood in the massive chamber of the Galactic Council, watching as the final votes appeared on the giant screen above her head. The numbers glowed bright blue against the dark space. 847 civilizations voting yes, 12 voting no, and 3 choosing not to vote at all. The decision was final. Earth would be cut off from the galaxy forever. Around her, hundreds of alien delegates celebrated. The Zelthani waved their long tentacles in the air, making happy clicking sounds. The crystal-like Vorthak sang high musical notes that hurt human ears. Even the bird-like Kethrani flapped their wings with joy. They were all happy that the dangerous humans would finally be locked away from civilized space. Sarah kept her face, calm and showed no emotion. She had been Earth's ambassador to the galaxy for 5 years. She had watched these aliens grow more and more afraid of humanity as the years passed. They called humans too aggressive and unpredictable. They said humanity refused to follow the proper rules that kept the galaxy peaceful. The Zelthani delegate who had led the vote against Earth slithered closer to Sarah. His skin was purple and wet, and his 4 eyes looked at her with what humans might call satisfaction. "Ambassador Chen," he said in his bubbling voice, "perhaps now your species will learn to behave like civilized beings. When you are alone with no one to trade with, no one to talk to, you will understand the importance of following Galactic's." "Ah," Sarah nodded politely. "I understand perfectly," she said. "Thank you for making your position so clear." The alien seemed pleased by her calm response. He probably expected her to be angry or to beg for mercy. Instead, Sarah reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device that looked like a simple communication pad. She pressed a button and spoke quietly into it. "Phase 1 is complete," she said. They took the bait perfectly. The Zelthani delegate's eyes widened. "What did you just say?" But Sarah was already walking toward the exit. Behind her, she could hear confused alien voices asking what she meant. Some of them were starting to sound worried instead of happy. On Earth, President Martinez received Sarah's message in his office deep below the surface in Colorado. The room was filled with military officers and scientists, all of them waiting for this exact moment. When the message came through, Martinez smiled for the first time in months. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said to the room, "the galaxy has just made the biggest mistake in its history." General Torres, the head of Earth's military, stood up from his chair. "All units are standing by, Mr. President. Project Diaspora is ready." To begin, Dr. Amanda Foster, Earth's top scientist, checked her tablet. "The colony ships have been waiting in the asteroid belt for 2 years. We can launch within hours." Martinez looked around the room at the faces of Earth's best and brightest. 3 years ago, when it became clear that the galaxy would never accept humanity as equals, they had begun to plan, not for surrender, not for begging, but for something much more ambitious. "The galaxy thinks exile is a punishment," Martinez said. "They don't understand that we've been preparing for this day. They gave us exactly what we needed." On the space station above Earth, Admiral Jackson received the same message. He had been waiting in the command center of humanity's largest hidden military base. The station looked like a simple research facility from the outside, but inside it contained enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. "All ships, this is command," Jackson spoke into his communicator. "The vote is complete. Begin Phase 2 immediately." Across the solar system, things that had looked like peaceful human settlements suddenly came to life. The moon base revealed massive gun batteries that had been hidden under fake research domes. Mars, which the galaxy thought was just a struggling farming colony, opened huge doors to show factories that had been building warships in secret. The asteroid belt erupted with activity as hundreds of ships that had been hiding among the rocks powered up their engines. These were not the sleek, beautiful vessels that other species built. Human ships were ugly and practical, covered in armor and weapons, built for war and exploration rather than comfort. But the most important ships were the colony vessels, massive arc ships that could carry entire cities' worth of people, along with everything they needed to build new homes. The galaxy expected humans to sit on Earth and slowly die from loneliness and lack of trade. Instead, humanity was about to spread across the stars faster than any species in galactic history. Sarah Chen made it back to her small ship without any of the aliens trying to stop her. They were too busy arguing among themselves about what her message might have meant. As her ship left the council station and headed toward Earth, she allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy had made many mistakes about humanity, but the biggest one was thinking that exile was a punishment. Humans had spent their entire history being forced to move to new places, to adapt to harsh conditions, to survive when others said it was impossible. The galaxy had just given humanity permission to do what they did best. Her ship's communication system beeped, and Martinez's voice came through from Earth. "Sarah, how did they react?" "Exactly as we predicted, Mr. President. They're so happy to be rid of us that they're not asking the right questions. Such as why Earth agreed to this so easily, why we didn't fight harder against the vote, why our military seemed so small and weak when they investigated us." Martinez laughed. "Because they never bothered to look beyond our main worlds. They never sent scouts to the outer systems. They never wondered why our research stations needed so much power." Sarah watched Earth grow larger through her ship's windows. Soon she would be home, and then humanity's real work would begin. The galaxy thought they were locking humans away from civilization. Instead, they had just freed humanity to build their own civilization, one that would be stronger and more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The colony ships were already moving, heading toward star systems that the galaxy had marked as impossible or uninhabitable. These were worlds with too much radiation, or too much gravity, or too little heat. Perfect worlds for humans, who had learned to survive anywhere. As Sarah's ship entered Earth's atmosphere, she looked down at the lights of the cities below. In a few months, many of those people would be living on worlds that the galaxy thought were too dangerous for life. They would be building new homes in places where no other species could survive. The galaxy had voted to exile Earth, thinking they were protecting themselves from humanity's dangerous nature. Instead, they had just given humanity the greatest gift possible, complete freedom to become everything they were capable of being, without anyone to tell them no. The vote was over. The exile had begun. And humanity couldn't wait to show the galaxy what a species could accomplish when they were finally free to be themselves. 6 months after the galaxy's vote, the first wave of human colony ships left the solar system. The aliens watching from their comfortable worlds expected to see desperate refugees fleeing to whatever safe planets they could find. Instead, they saw something that made no sense at all. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the ship called Indomitable, staring at the navigation display with excitement rather than fear. Her destination was a star system that the Galactic Council had marked with a red warning label. Extreme radiation hazard, no life possible. "Captain," her science officer called out, "we're getting close to the radiation belt around Kepler 442. Should I plot a course around it?" Elena smiled. "Negative. Take us straight through the middle of it. That's where we're going to build our new home." The crew didn't question her order. They had all volunteered for this mission, knowing exactly what they were signing up for. While other species built their colonies on nice, safe planets with gentle weather and friendly environments, humans were heading for the places that would kill anyone else. On Earth, Dr. James Okafor watched the colony ship reports coming in from across the galaxy. His team had spent years studying the uninhabitable worlds that other species avoided. What they found was that these dangerous places were actually perfect for humanity. The high radiation environment on Kepler 442 will force rapid adaptation, he explained to President Martinez during their weekly briefing. Within 2 generations, humans living there will develop natural radiation resistance. The heavy gravity on Proxima b will make humans stronger and faster. The extreme cold on the rogue planets will teach us to survive, without depending on stars, for energy. Martinez nodded as he looked at the star map showing human colony ships spreading out in every direction. The galaxy thinks we're running away to die in horrible places. They don't understand that horrible places make humans stronger. The first reports from the colony ships proved this point. The crew of the Indomitable landed on Kepler 442b, despite radiation levels that would cook most alien species in minutes. Within weeks, They were not just surviving, but thriving. The same radiation that made the planet uninhabitable powered their new energy systems and helped their food crops grow faster than anything seen on Earth. Captain Maria Santos landed her ship on Proxima Centauri b, a world that was burning hot on one side and freezing cold on the other. The Galactic Council called it completely unsuitable for life. Maria called it perfect for manufacturing. Her colonists built their first city right on the line between the hot and cold sides of the planet. They used the extreme temperature difference to generate massive amounts of power. Giant solar collectors on the hot side gathered energy, while huge computer systems on the cold side processed data faster than any machine in the galaxy. "Command, this is Santos," Maria reported back to Earth. "Proxima Base is operational. We're already producing more power than the entire Zelthani homeworld. The extreme conditions aren't killing us. They're making us better." Meanwhile, Captain David Park took his ship to a rogue planet drifting alone between the stars. This world had no sun at all, just endless cold and darkness. The galaxy's scientists said nothing could live there. Park's team proved them wrong in just 3 months. "We don't need a star," Park reported to Earth. "We're learning to pull energy directly from space itself. The quantum vacuum gives us all the power we need, and the cold helps our computers work perfectly. This isn't Exile. This is evolution." Back in the solar system, Earth itself was changing too. The moon revealed massive construction projects that had been hidden under fake mining operations. Huge defensive platforms rose from lunar craters, armed with weapons based on technology learned from the colony worlds. Mars opened giant doors that had been disguised as natural rock formations. Inside were shipyards building vessels unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. These new human ships were designed to work in the extreme conditions where humanity was now living. They could fly through radiation storms, operate in crushing gravity, and survive in the cold of deep space. Admiral Jackson inspected the first of these new warships as it left the Martian shipyards. The vessel looked nothing like the pretty, smooth ships that other species built. It was covered in armor plating and bristled with weapons. Most importantly, it was built to take humans to places where no other species could survive. "The galaxy exiled us because they were afraid of how we might change their perfect civilization," Jackson told his officers. "They never stopped to think about how we might change when we're free to be ourselves." The asteroid belt became humanity's main industrial center. Hidden factories that had pretended to be mining stations revealed their true purpose. They were building not just ships, but entire mobile cities that could travel from star to star, carrying human civilization to every corner of the galaxy. Dr. Foster coordinated the scientific efforts from her laboratory on Ceres. The data coming in from the colony worlds was beyond her wildest dreams. Humans living in extreme conditions were developing abilities that seemed impossible. "The children born on Kepler 442 can see radiation patterns with their naked eyes," she reported to the Earth government. "The families on Proxima b are developing natural resistance to temperature extremes. The colonists on the rogue planets are learning to sense gravitational fields directly." "You're saying the extreme environments are changing us?" Martinez asked. "I'm saying they're revealing what we always were," Foster replied. "Humans are the most adaptable species in the galaxy. Other races chose to make their environments comfortable. We're choosing to make ourselves stronger." As the first year of Exile ended, humanity had established colonies in over 50 star systems that the galaxy considered impossible to live in. Each world taught humans something new about survival, about adaptation, about pushing the limits of what life could endure. The galaxy's intelligence services began picking up strange reports from their border systems, energy readings from dead star systems, massive construction projects in places where nothing should be able to live, radio signals coming from regions of space where no civilized species had ever gone. Some of the younger alien species began asking uncomfortable questions. If humans could survive in places like that, what did it mean for the rest of the galaxy? If Exile made humans stronger instead of weaker, had the Galactic Council made a terrible mistake? But the older, more established species dismissed these concerns. Humans were barbarians, they said. They might survive for a while in these horrible places, but eventually they would die out or become so changed that they would no longer be a threat to civilized society. Elena Vasquez, now governor of the thriving colony on Kepler 442b, would have laughed at that assessment. Her people weren't dying out. They were becoming something the galaxy had never seen before. They were becoming human beings who were truly free to reach their full potential. Earth Control, this is Kepler Colony, she transmitted across the void. Population is now over 100,000 and growing fast. Industrial output exceeds projections by 300%. Radiation adaptation is proceeding ahead of schedule. She paused, looking out at the city her people had built in conditions that would kill most of the galaxy's civilized species. Tell the council they can stop worrying about us, she added. We're not coming back to beg for readmission. We're building something better out here. Something they gave us the freedom to create when they voted to let us go. 5 years had passed since the galaxy voted to exile Earth. In the comfortable core worlds where the major species lived, most had forgotten about humanity entirely. The Zelthani were busy with their trade negotiations, the Vorthak were focused on their Crystal Garden projects, and the Kethrani were exploring new philosophical ideas about peaceful existence. None of them bothered to check what was happening in the uninhabitable regions where they had assumed humanity would slowly die. Now, if they had looked, they would have been terrified. Dr. James Okafor stood in his laboratory on the rogue planet Nemesis, watching his latest experiment with wonder. The planet had no star, no warmth, nothing but cold darkness drifting through space. 5 years ago, the galaxy's best scientists would have said this world was completely lifeless. Now it housed over 2 million humans and had become one of the most important research centers in known space. Computer, show me the energy output readings from Test Chamber 7, James said. The holographic display lit up with numbers that would have shocked every alien scientist in the galaxy. James had finally cracked the secret of zero-point energy, pulling power directly from empty space itself. The breakthrough came from studying how to survive on a world with no star. When humans couldn't rely on solar power, they learned to find energy everywhere else. Dr. Okafor, his assistant, called from across the lab. We're getting a quantum communication from the Kepler colonies. They want to know if our new power systems can work in high radiation environments. James smiled. The different human colonies were sharing discoveries and helping each other improve. Kepler 442b had taught humanity how to thrive in deadly radiation. Proxima b had shown them how to use extreme temperatures for industrial power. The rogue planets were revealing the deepest secrets of energy and physics. Tell them yes, James replied. In fact, the radiation will make the zero-point systems work even better. The high-energy environment will increase our power output by at least 40%. On Kepler 442b, Elena Vasquez watched her daughter play in the radiation-soaked gardens outside their city. Little Anna was part of the first generation of humans born in the extreme environment. She could see patterns of radiation flowing through the air like other children might see butterflies. Her body processed the deadly energy as easily as a normal human processed sunlight. "Mama, look!" Anna called out, pointing at invisible streams of energy flowing from the planet's core. "The pretty lights are dancing today." Elena marveled at what her daughter could do. The child was perfectly healthy and happy, but she had abilities that no baseline human possessed. The extreme environment hadn't harmed the new generation. It had made them into something wonderful and new. The communication console in Elena's office beeped with an incoming message from Earth. President Martinez's face appeared on the screen, and Elena could see the excitement in his eyes. "Elena, how many people can Kepler colony support now?" Martinez asked. "Current population is 800,000, Mr. President. We could easily handle 2 million if you want to send more colonists. The radiation gardens are producing food faster than we can eat it, and the energy systems are running at only 30% capacity." Martinez nodded. "That's what I hope to hear. We're getting reports that some of the galaxy's scout ships are starting to investigate the outer regions. It won't be long before they discover what we've built out there. Let them come," Elena said confidently. "Any ship they send will be designed for safe, comfortable environments, They won't be able to handle the radiation levels here. We'll see them long before they can get close enough to be a threat. On Proxima Centauri B, Captain Maria Santos had transformed her colony into an industrial powerhouse that exceeded anything in the galactic core. The extreme heat and cold of her world powered manufacturing systems that could produce starships, weapons, and technology at incredible speed. Her latest project was a new class of human warship designed specifically for the extreme environments, where humanity now lived. The vessels could operate in radiation fields that would fry normal electronics, survive in gravitational forces that would crush regular hulls, and fight battles in conditions where other species couldn't even exist. "Commander Torres," Maria called to her chief engineer, "how are the weapons tests going?" "Beyond all expectations, Captain. The radiation-powered beam systems are 3 times more effective than anything the galaxy has seen. The gravity manipulation drives can move our ships in ways that will seem impossible to other species. Most importantly, our armor can handle conditions that would destroy their ships in seconds." Maria looked out at the massive shipyard her people had built on the border between the burning and frozen sides of their world. Dozens of the new warships were under construction, each one more advanced than the best vessels in the galactic fleet. But the real breakthrough was happening in the minds of the humans themselves. Living in extreme conditions had pushed human intelligence and creativity to new levels. Problems that would take galactic committees years to solve were being figured out by human children as simple puzzles. Dr. Amanda Foster, now director of Human Scientific Research, compiled the reports from all the colonies with amazement. On every world, in every extreme environment, humanity was not just surviving but evolving. "Mr. President," she reported to Martinez during their monthly briefing, "we're seeing developments that go beyond anything we expected. The colonies aren't just adapting to their environments, they're mastering them." "Give me specifics," Martinez replied. "The Kepler colonies have developed natural radiation immunity and can see energy patterns directly. The Proxima settlements have enhanced temperature tolerance and improved manufacturing abilities. The rogue planet colonies have learned to manipulate gravity and extract energy from quantum vacuum." Foster paused, looking at her data with something approaching awe. "But the most important change is psychological. Humans raised in these extreme conditions don't see impossible the same way we do. They look at problems that would terrify the galaxy's best minds and treat them as interesting challenges." This was becoming clear in the education reports from the colonies. Human children who grew up on worlds with crushing gravity developed incredible physical strength. Those raised in high radiation learned to process information at speeds that seemed superhuman. Kids from the rogue planets could perform mathematical calculations in their heads that required supercomputers for other species. The galaxy had intended Exile to weaken humanity by cutting them off from civilized support. Instead, it had freed humans to develop abilities that would have been impossible in the safe, controlled environments of the core worlds. Admiral Jackson reviewed the latest intelligence reports from Earth's hidden monitoring stations. The galactic species were finally starting to ask questions about the strange energy readings and radio signals coming from the uninhabitable regions. "Sir," his intelligence officer reported, "the Kathrani have sent 3 scout ships toward the outer rim. The Zelthani are asking questions about the missing trade vessels near rogue planet systems. Some of the younger species are starting to wonder if humanity might still be alive out there." Jackson nodded grimly. "How long before they put together a real investigation?" "Maybe 2 years, sir. 3 at most. Eventually they're going to send a proper expedition to check on what happened to us." "Good," Jackson replied, surprising his officer. "By then, we'll be ready to show them exactly what happened to humanity. I don't think they're going to like the answer." In the deep laboratories of Nemesis, Dr. Okafor made his most important discovery yet. The zero-point energy systems weren't just providing unlimited power. They were revealing fundamental secrets about the nature of space and time itself. Humans were learning to manipulate the basic forces that held the universe together. Computer, begin recording. Research log, Dr. James Okafor, day 1847 of Exile. He looked at his latest experimental results with wonder. "Today we achieved stable manipulation of local space-time using zero-point field fluctuations. The implications are extraordinary." He paused, thinking about what this meant for the future. The galaxy exiled us because they were afraid we might become too powerful for them to control. They were right to be afraid. They just didn't understand that by setting us free, they guaranteed we would become exactly what they feared most: human beings with no limits on what we could achieve. The first sign of trouble came when a Zelthani trade convoy failed to report in from the Outer Rim territories. 3 ships had been carrying luxury goods to the border colonies when they simply vanished. The Galactic Council assumed it was pirates or equipment failure. They were wrong. Admiral Sarah Chen, former Earth ambassador and now commander of humanity's outer fleet, watched the Zelthani vessels approach through her ship's sensors. The alien convoy was moving slowly and carefully through the radiation field surrounding the Kepler system, their shields glowing brightly as they tried to protect their crews from the deadly energy. "Admiral," her tactical officer reported, "the lead ship is hailing us. They're demanding to know who we are and what we're doing in this forbidden zone." Sarah smiled grimly. 7 years had passed since the galaxy voted to exile Earth. 7 years of building, growing, and becoming something the aliens couldn't imagine. Now they were finally coming to check on what happened to the humans they thought they had left to die. "Open a channel," Sarah ordered. "Let's reintroduce ourselves to our old friends." Her ship, the Defiance, was nothing like the vessel's humanity had shown to the galaxy before their exile. Where human ships had once been small and simple, the Defiance was massive and intimidating. Its hull was scarred and blackened from operating in radiation storms that would cook normal spacecraft. Strange energy patterns flowed across its armor like living light. The Zelthani commander appeared on Sarah's main screen. His 4 eyes widened in shock as he recognized her face. "Ambassador Chen? But you're supposed to be dead. The humans were exiled to uninhabitable worlds. How are you alive? How are you here?" "I'm Admiral Chen now," Sarah replied calmly. "As for how I'm here, this is my home system. You're the one who's trespassing in human space." The Zelthani commander's tentacles writhed in confusion. "Human space? This is the Kepler system. The radiation levels here would kill any living being in minutes." "Any living being except humans," Sarah corrected. "We've been living here quite comfortably for 7 years. Would you like a tour of our cities?" Before the alien could respond, Sarah activated her ship's external cameras. The screens filled with images that made the Zelthani crew gasp in shock. Massive cities stretched across the surface of Kepler 442b, their towers reaching high into the radioactive atmosphere. Millions of lights twinkled in the deadly environment, showing a thriving civilization that shouldn't exist. "Impossible," the commander whispered. "Nothing can live in that much radiation." "You keep using that word," Sarah said. "I don't think it means what you think it means." The conversation was interrupted when more human ships emerged from the radiation storms around them. The Zelthani convoy found itself surrounded by vessels that looked like they had been forged in the fires of dying stars. Each ship moved with perfect precision despite operating in conditions that would disable alien technology. "Admiral Chen," the Zelthani commander said, his voice shaking, "we came here to investigate strange energy readings. The Galactic Council wants to know what's causing the disturbances in this region." "The disturbances are us," Sarah replied. "We're the energy readings your sensors are detecting. Human civilization doesn't look the same as what you're used to in the core worlds." She gestured to her crew, humans who had been born and raised in the extreme conditions of the outer colonies. They moved with enhanced reflexes and showed no signs of stress from the radiation that was slowly cooking the alien ship's electronics. 7 years ago, you voted to exile us because you said we were too dangerous for civilized space. You were afraid of what we might become if we were allowed to grow without restrictions." Sarah's smile was not friendly. "Congratulations. You created exactly the outcome you feared most." The Zelthani ships were starting to show signs of radiation damage. Their shields were failing, and their computers were reporting system errors as the deadly energy cooked their circuits. The human ships, meanwhile, seemed to be growing stronger, their hulls actually absorbing power from the same radiation that was killing the alien vessels. "Admiral," the Zelthani commander pleaded, Our ships can't survive much longer in these conditions. Please, we need to leave immediately. Of course, Sarah said graciously. But first, you're going to take a message back to the Galactic Council. She activated a recording system and looked directly into the camera. To the members of the Galactic Council, this is Admiral Sarah Chen, representing the Human Colonial Federation. 7 years ago, you voted to exile Earth from galactic civilization. You assumed this would make us weaker and less dangerous. You were wrong on both counts. The recording showed images from across human space, cities thriving in deadly radiation, industrial complexes powered by the heat of dying stars, research stations floating in the cold void between galaxies where no other species could survive. We have not spent these years begging for your forgiveness or trying to prove we deserve readmission to your civilization. Instead, we have built our own civilization, one that exists in places you consider impossible, powered by forces you don't understand, populated by humans who have evolved beyond your ability to control. Sarah paused, letting the implications sink in. You exiled us because you were afraid of what we might do to your perfect, safe society. Now you should be afraid of what we've become while you weren't watching. We are no longer the same species. You voted to exile. We are something new, something stronger, and something that doesn't need your permission to exist. The recording ended, and Sarah looked back at the increasingly desperate Zelthani commander. Take that message to the council, she ordered. Tell them that humanity sends its thanks. Your vote to exile us was the greatest gift you could have given. It freed us to become everything we were meant to be. The alien ships fled as quickly as their failing systems could carry them, racing to escape the radiation that was slowly killing them. Behind them, the human fleet watched with amusement as their former oppressors ran away from the conditions that humanity now called home. Within days, Sarah's message was being broadcast across the galaxy. The reaction was exactly what she had expected. Panic, confusion, and desperate meetings as the various species tried to understand what humanity had become. The younger species asked difficult questions. If humans could survive in impossible conditions, what did that mean for the galaxy's understanding of what was possible? If exile had made them stronger instead of weaker, had the Council created a threat far worse than anything they had tried to prevent? The older species insisted that the humans were bluffing. No one could really live in those conditions, they said. The radiation readings must be fake. The cities must be holographic illusions designed to frighten the galaxy into submission. But more scout ships went missing as they tried to investigate human space. Trade vessels reported strange encounters with ships that appeared out of nowhere and disappeared just as quickly. The energy readings from the uninhabitable regions grew stronger every month. On Earth, President Martinez received reports of the alien panic with satisfaction. The galaxy had finally realized that humanity was still alive, still growing, and now stronger than ever. Admiral Jackson, he said to his military commander, how long before they try to do something about us? Not long, sir. The Council is already talking about investigating the human situation and determining the extent of the threat. They're going to send a fleet to check on us within the year. Martinez nodded. Good. By then we'll be ready to show them exactly what 7 years of freedom has done for humanity. I don't think they're going to like the lesson. In her command center on the Defiance, Sarah Chen looked out at the thriving human colonies that stretched across dozens of impossible worlds. The galaxy had tried to destroy humanity by cutting them off from civilization. Instead, they had freed humanity to build a civilization beyond anything the galaxy could imagine. The aliens were finally starting to understand their mistake. But it was far too late to do anything about it. Humanity was no longer asking for permission to exist. They were simply existing, thriving, and growing stronger with each passing day. The galaxy had voted to exile Earth. Now they would learn what Earth had voted to become while they weren't watching. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any meeting in their 1,000-year history. Representatives from 847 species packed the Great Chamber, their voices creating a chaos of fear, anger, and confusion. Above them, the massive screens showed the reports that had been flooding in for months. Energy readings from dead systems, impossible cities on uninhabitable worlds, and ships that moved through space in ways that defied known physics. The Zeltani, delegate who had led the vote to exile humanity 7 years earlier, stood at the central podium, his tentacles shaking as he addressed the assembly. "Fellow beings of the galaxy," he began, "we face a crisis that threatens everything we have built. The humans we thought we had contained have not only survived, but have become something we never anticipated." Murmurs of fear rippled through the chamber. The crystal beings of Vorthak sang nervous harmonies while the bird-like Kathrani ruffled their feathers in distress. Even the massive, slow-thinking Garanti shifted uneasily in their environmental suits. "How many colonies do they have now?" asked the representative from the Tauri Federation. "Our best estimates suggest over 200 worlds," the Zeltani replied grimly. "All of them in regions we considered uninhabitable. High radiation zones, rogue planets, systems with unstable stars, places where our ships can't even survive long enough to gather proper intelligence." The chamber erupted in shocked voices. 200 worlds was more than most species controlled in the comfortable core regions. The idea that humans had built such an empire in places considered worthless was terrifying. "What do they want from us?" called out the Andretti ambassador. "Are they planning to invade core space? Are they seeking revenge for the Exile?" Before anyone could answer, the chamber's communication systems activated without authorization. Every screen in the room displayed the same image: Admiral Sarah Chen, standing on the bridge of a ship that looked like it had been built in the heart of a star. "Honorable delegates of the Galactic Council," Sarah said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's audio systems, "I understand you've been discussing the human problem in emergency session. Since you're talking about us, I thought we should join the conversation." Panic spread through the chamber. The aliens' most secure facility had been penetrated as easily as if Sarah was standing right there with them. Their best security systems hadn't even detected the intrusion. "How did you get this signal through our defenses?" the Zeltani delegate demanded. Sarah smiled. "You built your defenses to protect against technology, you understand. We've moved beyond that. When you're forced to live in places where normal physics don't apply, you learn to use physics that other species haven't discovered yet." She gestured behind her, and the view expanded to show a vast space station floating in what looked like empty void. But as the aliens watched in horror, they realized it wasn't empty space at all. It was the inside of a black hole's event horizon, where no known technology could survive. "This is Research Station Hawking," Sarah explained casually. "We're currently orbiting the singularity at the center of the Cygnus system. The gravitational forces here let us access energy states that don't exist anywhere else in the universe. Very useful for our experiments in space-time manipulation." The chamber fell completely silent. Operating inside a black hole was beyond impossible. It was a violation of everything the galaxy thought they knew about reality. "What do you want from us?" the Zeltani delegate finally whispered. Sarah's expression grew serious. "Nothing. That's what you never understood about humans. We don't want to conquer your safe, comfortable worlds. We don't want to force you to live by our rules. We never did." She paused, letting that sink in. 7 years ago, you exiled us because you thought we were too dangerous to exist alongside your civilization. You were right about the danger, but wrong about the solution. You can't exile a force of nature. You can only give it room to grow." New images appeared on the screens. Human children playing in conditions that would kill adult aliens instantly. Human scientists working with energies that shouldn't exist. Human artists creating beauty from chaos and destruction. "We've discovered something during our exile," Sarah continued. "Your galaxy is dying." The delegates looked at each other in confusion. The core worlds were safe and prosperous. Technology advanced at a steady, predictable pace. What did she mean, dying? "Entropy," Sarah explained. "The universe is running down, growing cold, and your civilization is speeding up the process. You've built a perfect, stable society that's slowly strangling itself. Your birth rates are falling, your innovation has stagnated, and your species are evolving into comfortable mediocrity." Dr. James Okafor appeared beside Sarah on the screen. Behind him, impossible machines hummed with the power of creation itself. "But humans have solved entropy," he announced calmly. Living in impossible conditions taught us to reverse the fundamental decay of matter and energy. We can restart dead stars, restore dead worlds, and even reverse the aging of entire galaxies. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted questions, demands, and accusations. The idea that humans could manipulate the basic forces of reality was too incredible and too terrifying to accept. Sarah raised her hand for silence. We're not telling you this to frighten you or to demand your submission. We're telling you because we're offering you a choice. The chamber gradually quieted, though the tension remained electric. Option 1, Sarah said, is to continue exactly as you are. Keep your perfect, safe civilization in the comfortable core worlds. We'll stay in the regions you consider uninhabitable, and we'll never bother you again. In a few thousand years, when your stars start dying and your worlds begin to freeze, you can face extinction with the satisfaction of knowing you maintained civilized standards to the end. The screens showed images of stellar death, stars collapsing, worlds freezing, entire systems going dark. It was the inevitable future of any galaxy where intelligent species chose safety over growth. Option 2, Sarah continued, is to join us in the places you've never dared to go. We'll teach you to survive what you think is unsurvivable, to thrive where you think life is impossible. We'll show you how to reverse entropy, how to restore youth to dying stars, how to make the universe itself young again. The images changed, to show human colonies bringing life to dead worlds, human technology rekindling exhausted stars, human children born in the heart of cosmic phenomena that defied description. But understand, Sarah's voice grew hard. If you choose the second option, you'll have to give up your comfortable limitations. You'll have to become something more than what you are. You'll have to stop being safe and start being alive. The Zelthani delegate found his voice. And if we choose neither option, if we decide that humanity itself is the threat that must be eliminated? Sarah's smile was not pleasant. Then you'll discover exactly how dangerous we've become while you weren't watching. 7 years ago, you exiled us because you were afraid of our potential. If you force us to show you what we've done with that potential, I promise you won't like the demonstration. The screens filled with images of human warships emerging from stellar coronas, space stations that existed partially outside normal dimensions, weapons that could manipulate gravity itself. It was technology beyond the galaxy's ability to understand, much less counter. But I don't think it will come to that, Sarah added, her tone becoming gentle again. Because deep down, every intelligent species wants the same thing: to grow, to explore, to become more than they were. You've just forgotten what that feels like. The communication ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. For several minutes, no one spoke. Finally, the Kithrani representative stood up. I motion to vote, she said quietly. All in favor of opening negotiations with the Human Colonial Federation? The vote was closer than anyone expected. 423 in favor, 399 against, 67 abstentions. But it was enough. As the session ended and the delegates filed out to report to their home governments, many of them were already wondering what it would be like to live among the stars that humanity called home. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was thinking about growing instead of just surviving. In her command center aboard the Defiance, Sarah Chen watched the vote results with satisfaction. The galaxy had finally learned the lesson that humanity had been trying to teach them from the beginning. Exile wasn't punishment if you used it to become everything you were meant to be, and humanity had become something wonderful. Admiral, her communications officer, reported, "We're getting requests for embassy exchanges from over 100 species. They want to know more about our colonies, our technology, our way of life." Sarah nodded. "Prepare the welcome packets. It looks like the galaxy is finally ready to learn what impossible really means." The exile was over. The real adventure was just beginning.